Hi, I'm Chelsa Meadus, and I want to represent you on Maple Ridge City Council. Take action, get involved, and learn about the issues that matter most in our community. On November 15th, come out, show your support. A lot is riding on this election. You matter, and together we will do better. Okay, welcome. We are going to talk about food security in Maple Ridge, and with us we have 3 community members who are all connected to the food industry in one way or another. So maybe we can go around and introduce ourselves and talk about what you do in the community.
All right, I'll go first. I'm Eileen Dwillies, and I'm the Executive Director of the Haney Farmers Market Society and the Market Manager of the Haney Farmers Market. And the Haney Farmers Market is 10 years old. It's a very lively Saturday morning market that runs from Mother's Day through to Thanksgiving and Memorial Peace Park, and then it goes down to Grow and Gather at 246 and Dudney. So it goes for 30 weeks altogether.
Excellent.
And my name is Candace Gordan, and I am the Food Security Coordinator for Maple Ridge, Meadows, and Chelsa. And we discuss all things about food.
And I'm Kimberly, Lauzon. I'm working on developing a food co-op in Maple Ridge. I'm really interested in local food security and growing the local food community.
So what would each of you define food security as? Because it's a word that's thrown around in a lot of different variations. So what does it mean to you?
Well, I don't like the word security anymore. I've heard it so much, I don't think anyone's paying attention.
It's a term that was developed by the United Nations in 1993 at a summit on food that they did in Rome. And it's too militaristic, but really what it means is that everyone has access to nutritious, affordable, safe, culturally appropriate food grown in a sustainable way.
Excellent.
Food for all.
I like the term local food systems and sustainable food systems because to me that kind of looks at the holistic view of like just everything that's involved in access to food for everyone in the community.
There's been a lot of talk about food shortage. So can you tell us a little bit about that, and is it something that we should be concerned about?
Well, I think mostly because of California. I don't think there's a shortage anywhere else. And that's where most of our food comes from because of the direction that California is to us. So we'll have to get food farther afield and it will cost more. So that's and then the shortage is the drought. Perhaps people weren't aware that there's been a drought coming for many, many years that everyone ignored until this year. I'm sure it was not this year. I'm sure it must have been last year too.
Because we're going into our 4th year of significant drought in California. So about 800,000 acres of land came out of production this year because they just had no water. And 80% or so of our produce in this region comes from California. And we've already begun to see the increase in produce prices, and it will only get worse.
I think we're just overly reliant on food that's shipped in from other places, and I think that the possibilities, we have to start looking at them, of like what's possible to grow food for ourselves closer to home. And I think that the food shortage is going to kind of spur the need for that.
It'll be good from our own farmers' point of view. We have many little farmers that now can use the farmers' market to have a venue to sell their produce. The only unfortunate thing is that they have to learn to do greenhouse gardening because we don't have the long range of weather cycles that they do in the southern areas. And some are. Some are. Some farmers are still good till the end of November. Although there was a frost, we had it in our neighborhood, and that meant that the farmers near me would be finished.
I think it's interesting that there's so many farmers markets in Vancouver and other places that are going all year round around
Yes.
here.
Well, they just don't come to our market, those farmers. They are in the Fraser Valley, the south side of the river, and they go to Vancouver, of course, because this is where the population is. So therefore, they can make $1,000 on a Saturday. If they came to Maple Ridge and settled into our little space, we only had 500 people at our market last week, so we would support that.
Do you think that if there was more, like if more people knew that the food was available all year round, do you think that there would be more people coming to the market throughout the year?
They have to change their shopping habits. It's so easy to go to a grocery store or a co-op when it comes up and just buy everything there, and they've done it in one motion. So I think that they really have to think in a European way, where you shop here for this, you shop there for that, and you do the little round. But if they're too far apart, for instance, the farmer's market is not near the cheese works, but in France or Italy it would be just down the street. So therefore you would have to park your car once, but you would walk instead of going into the grocery store for everything. Although there are huge grocery stores in Europe, and people are changing into our method of shopping.
Well, I think that's also, it's a food culture too. I
Mhm.
think people have put the food priority low on the list here. So, get it done in one shot and pay the cheapest price that you can. So I think just building that food culture and having people appreciate it more, and good quality food is important.
And we have to start eating seasonally,
Yes.
So we've been spoiled the last several decades. We can eat strawberries in January and asparagus in November, but here we don't have strawberries in January and asparagus in November. So we need, right now, for instance, to be eating squashes and beets and carrots, cabbage. There's a whole spectrum of food that we could be eating now, but we're just used to eating whatever we want, whenever we
And
want.
that's where education comes in too. Once people start learning how to cook and how to prepare these foods, and that it's like when it's available, that'll probably help too.
Well, the mysterious squash, there's
Yeah.
probably about 8 kinds, and I put up on Facebook this lovely little picture of the many kinds, but I should have made a little note, and don't forget your machete, because they are hard to cut into, and many a hand has been cut because of that. So this is again the education learning thing, but if the grocery stores were allowed to maybe slice some of these bigger squashes, and then you're already halfway there and you can see what it looks like inside. But they've got these beautiful shapes with all bumps and lumps, and you don't know quite
And it just looks
what
like
you're going to do.
decoration.
They're beautiful. They're beautiful. So this is where the co-op could come in and have, because you would be more likely inside, and have an area with a picture and how it should be used.
At some point, I would really like to have workshops and have ladies like you come in and do your little cooking demonstration and stuff like that.
So why is it important that we eat our vegetables and fruits seasonally? Why is that important instead of purchasing strawberries in January?
Because it's what grows here. It's what is local. That's the whole point of local food is to eat seasonally and have it fresh, not have it shipped thousands of kilometers, not having apples from New Zealand or from Chile and faraway places, to eat what's here now.
They lose their nutritional value too. It's 3 days you're supposed to eat your veggies after 3 days.
Some, particularly greens. It's just hours before the nutrients start to go.
So Eileen, I would imagine that you see the positive spin-off of what happens with the farmers that are able to sell their produce locally. Can you talk a little bit
been very lucky that lately we probably in the high season had 9 farmers from this side of the Fraser, from Maple Ridge and Pitt Meadows and Mission. So we've been very lucky that they're building. And part of the trouble is, I do see the positive side. Their sales are really good. However, a lot of them are afraid to come to the market. There are people with an acre of vegetables that they just give away when they could earn a little extra money and come to the market and sell it. We can have so many more farmers, it wouldn't make any difference. Every farmer has the same thing, but it's still a little different. So, and then they build their clientele. And then soon one person's going to this person for these things and another person for some other things, and they do shop around. And our sales were just extraordinary this year. It was an extremely good year, and that in part had to do with the BC Association of Farmers Markets Nutrition Coupon Program, where we are trying to educate the public and help them learn how to cook with these different foods. And that brings Candace's food security group in, where her Golden Ears Feast teaches them, and then they come to the market with their recipes and shop, and it just all works into a beautiful cycle. It's just unfortunate that there's that time frame where they still haven't learned that this is a season, that they have to now stop looking for the things that aren't here and take what is here. And that is a very hard thing for people to switch to. And I must say though, the strawberries and raspberries were still in the market on November the 8th. And this farmer had everbearing, and they had cloches over them. So they're still going, but with the frost now, I would imagine they're done. But it could go as long as there is no frost. The farmer just needs to be more aware of themselves and do some of this greenhouse style.
And I think
So-
that
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say that we have a lot of market gardens or farms for many years, and over the last several decades, they've been squeezed out by cheap produce from California, and so now we're having to rebuild those market gardens. So, and part of the rebuilding is making sure we have a local distribution and retail opportunities, such as farmers markets or co-ops, so that it's small farmers that are doing market vegetable production know that they can access it, because they're not gigantic farms, right?
they can't get into the bigger markets and sell
No.
at bigger grocery stores.
And with the cost going up from California or from wherever the food is coming from outside, it will make the farmers market prices look pretty good. And this is an
Exciting.
important thing. Yes, yes.
And so, just out of curiosity, how much do we produce in Maple Ridge, and what would you say are some of the important things to consider over the next 4 years in terms of farming and sustainability?
I don't think we have a definitive answer to that question, because we need to know where all the farms are and exactly what they're producing and how much they're producing, and we don't know because no one person is tracking all that. So
There's a study though, isn't that online? The study that was just recently done on the different types of foods that are being grown and.
But it is a general, it doesn't say how much, it just said this farm, we're driving past it and we can see it's growing this, that's a pumpkin field
It's
or
hard to-
whatever, so we don't know how many pumpkins they're selling, the tonnage.
But there's definitely more than I thought. I think there's a lot more than what most people think.
They're all hidden away, and you don't see farms from the road usually anyways. No.
Now, Maple Ridge has a quite diverse food production. Like, there's a lot of different things being grown that I didn't have a clue that were being grown.
Yeah. That's because Kim has just finished doing Golden Harvest for the Maple Ridge Agricultural Advisory Committee, and as the coordinator of that, she had to contact all kinds of farms to find local produce.
We have duck, we have duck eggs, we have
Yes.
mushrooms.
Yes,
All
we
kinds
have
of-
goat and sheep too,
Yeah.
providing you get it at the right moment.
So do you think residents of Maple Ridge need to look elsewhere other than locally for their fruits and vegetables, or can they find what they need here?
I think you can find mostly what you need here, or at least in the Fraser Valley area, provided you're not necessarily looking for something out of season.
There are things that are growing in the south,
Right.
as oranges and lemons.
Papayas.
We've been spoiled.
Yeah. We're very fortunate because we are in a place where all the traffic comes through our airports, whereas if we lived north of here in Prince George or further, we would learn to eat seasonally pretty quickly because that's all there is.
Absolutely. And Kimberly, you touched a little bit on a co-op. So what is a co-op? What is your vision, and where are you with the plans?
A food co-op is a democratically owned and operated business that, it can sell either organic foods or local foods. The main idea behind the co-op is that it's democratic and everybody who shops there benefits from it. So it's built by the community, for the community. And the food co-op that we're looking at building here will be a local food co-op. So we're going to source everything as local as possible. And so that will benefit the farmers. It'll create this new market, to kind of add to the growing food system, for a sustainable food system. And I'm just hoping that it will create that demand, the extra demand, and give more opportunities. And it'll not only sell local food, but create education opportunities and new jobs and fair wage jobs.
And it turns into a social community thing
Yeah.
as well, which is really important for the health of the neighborhood.
Absolutely. And because you talked a little bit about education and jobs, so it's almost a full circle business approach as
Well,
well.
it's a social enterprise, so it's economic, social, and environmental. So, you're cutting back on the transportation when you're not shipping in the food, when people can just go downtown and get their local food, and all the benefits that come with local food,
Local fresh.
local food, and health. Better for the health of the community.
And it might encourage some farmers to grow different things, because I know they could grow pulses, things like legumes that would be nice, but they haven't, lentils and yes, and some beans and so forth. There's one farmer growing that. However, he sells in Vancouver because he didn't do very well in Maple Ridge, and when they're fresh, they need to be bought fairly quickly.
But the portfolio that I deal with is much broader than just local food. So it deals with gardening and farming, processing, because we have quite a lot of food processing in this region too, and transportation and distribution, but also low income access to food. And certainly the coupon program that we ran this year with the farmers market is allowed 70 families and seniors to have access to fresh vegetables and fruit, which made quite a big impact for them. But it benefits not only the people on the program, but it benefits all the farmers, because we receive money from the BC Association of Farmers Markets to pay the farmers. So it's not
Okay.
right? So, and we do community kitchens, we do Let's Get Cooking, so teaching parents how to cook food from scratch. So a whole number of programs, but we also have a planning table, and at that planning table, the food bank sits. So there are 750 families that need to go to the food bank every month to get enough food, hopefully, to feed their families for the month. We have the Salvation Army at the Caring Place feeding 600 people. So they do over 10,000 meals a month. And it's 70% of the people that go to the meal program are either own their own house or they're renting. So they're not, often people think that the Caring Place is only dealing with homeless, but they deal with a much broader segment of our community.
That's a really excellent point, Candace, to bring up to people, because there is that misconception. Sure.
Yeah, if you go to the Caring Place, then you must be homeless. And actually, for a lot of the services, people are not homeless, they're hungry. And because you can be in your home and not be getting enough to eat, it's more hidden. And we don't see it. But it's a significant challenge in our community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for each of you, what do you think it is important for the public to know? And in terms of what you're looking for the public, if they want to help, how can they help you?
Well, how can they help the farmers market? We could
come to
yes,
the market.
you certainly, that's definitely the main thing. For every dollar you spend at the farmers market, it's worth it in the whole overall picture. Absolutely, and there's lots more than just farm produce at the market. There's music and children's activities, and it's a festival day as well.
What about for you, Candace? Because you have so many programs. How can people get in touch with you? Are you looking for volunteers?
Well, we're always looking for volunteers for some of the programs, and we do have the community planning table, so we meet about quarterly. I'm setting up right now a spaghetti dinner, hopefully for the end of November, and that's where people come together to discuss their particular issues on food. Right now we have a very strong number of people that are interested in fresh, local, organic food and how to cook it, how to preserve it, all those things. So, and I can tell you my email address if people want to contact me.
Excellent.
So it's CIEGORDON@gmail.com.
Excellent. And what about you, Kim? Are you looking for help with the co-op?
I would love for people to get in touch with me if they're interested in being a part of it in any way. There's so many different ways that they can get involved, even if they just want to get on the mailing list and be contacted when we're ready to start our membership campaign. The email address is goldenearscoop@gmail.com. They can also go to Golden Ears Community Co-op on Facebook.
Excellent. Well, we're going to wrap this segment up, but clearly there's a lot to talk about in terms of food security, preservation, and sustainability in our community. And clearly shopping local has a number of benefits. So thank you for watching, and thanks for coming, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
You're very welcome.
Hi, I'm Chelsa Meadus, and I want to represent you on Maple Ridge City Council. Take action, get involved, and learn about the issues that matter most in our community. On November 15th, come out, show your support. A lot is riding on this election. You matter, and together we will do better.